New horror story. Cursed wedding dress? The groom in the mirror. The wedding dress arrived on Sarah's doorstep with no return address, wrapped in yellowed tissue paper that crumbled like dead skin when I helped her carry it inside. She'd never ordered a wedding dress. We weren't even engaged yet. I'd been planning to propose next month. But there it was. Ivory silk that seemed to shimmer with its own light, intricate beadwork that caught the afternoon sun like captured tears. When Sarah touched it, I watched her shiver. The fabric looked cold and slightly damp, as if it had been stored somewhere underground. Inside the package was a handwritten note in spidery script, "For the September bride. With love, Aunt Millicent." Sarah didn't have an Aunt Millicent. "Don't try it on," I said, something cold crawling up my spine. But Sarah was already lifting it from the box, her eyes glazed with a strange fascination. The dress fit her perfectly, though I swear I never saw her actually put it on. I'd find her standing before her bedroom mirror wearing it, the gown pooling around her feet like spilled milk. When I asked how long she'd been wearing it, she'd look confused, like she was waking up from a dream. I don't remember," she'd whisper, but she couldn't bring herself to take it off. That's when I started hearing the wedding bells. They chimed in the distance at first, though no churches were near Sarah's apartment. The sound grew sharper each day until it cut through my skull like broken crystal. Sarah heard them too. I could tell by the way her head would tilt, listening to something I could barely make out. Then I started finding the rice. Thousands of tiny white grains scattered throughout her apartment. In her coffee mug, between her sheets, falling from her hair when she brushed it. Raw rice, the kind thrown at weddings, but it was always damp and had a metallic smell that reminded me of blood. I watched the dress change Sarah. She grew pale and distant, spending hours staring at herself in the mirror, whispering to her reflection in a voice that didn't sound like hers anymore. The dress itself seemed different too. What started as ivory silk darkened to the color of old bones, then to gray, then to something that absorbed light like a hungry mouth. "Sarah, you need to get rid of that thing," I pleaded, but she'd just smile at me with eyes that looked like glass. "The groom is waiting," she'd say in that strange, breathy voice. "He's been waiting so long." I tried throwing the dress away myself, took it from her closet while she slept, drove it to a dumpster across town. But the next morning, it was hanging in her bedroom again, pressed and perfect, reeking of lilies and decay. Sarah started walking in her sleep. I'd wake to find her gone, then get calls from strangers who'd found her miles from home, standing in abandoned churches and old cemeteries, always wearing the dress, always clutching handfuls of rice. The wedding bells grew louder. They rang at 3:17 a.m. every night, and that's when I'd find Sarah standing before her mirror. But her reflection was wrong. Her face was gaunt, her eyes sunken, her smile stretching too wide as if invisible hands were pulling at the corners of her mouth. I researched everything I could find about the dress, about Aunt Millicent, about bride disappearances. The pattern went back to the 1920s. Women found dead in wedding dresses, rice filling their lungs, their mouths sewn shut with silk thread. "Please, Sarah," I begged her last week, "let me help you take it off." But when she turned to look at me, I realized it was too late. Her voice was layered now like a chorus of women speaking through her throat. The wedding must be completed. The dress was tightening around her, constricting her breathing. The beadwork pressed into her skin, leaving permanent indentations that looked like tiny bruises. Her hair had turned white at the roots, and her eyes had developed a milky film that made her look like she was seeing something I couldn't. Last night, I followed her to St. Catherine's Cemetery. She stood before a headstone that read, "Millicent Hartwell, 1904-1923, beloved bride of Christ." Rice covered the ground like snow, crunching under our feet. "Join me, darling," Sarah whispered. But it wasn't her voice anymore. It was dozens of voices, all the brides who'd worn the dress before her. That's when I saw him in the reflection of the headstone's polished surface. The groom they'd all been waiting for. His face was superimposed over Sarah's, his smile stretching her mouth into shapes it was never meant to make. The wedding bells are ringing now. It's 3:17 a.m. and Sarah is wearing the dress, but this time she's not alone. Because I finally understand what the dress really does. It doesn't just collect brides. It creates the ceremony they need. And I'm watching my Sarah become just another voice in that terrible chorus, while something that was never human reaches through her eyes and smiles at me with her face. The rice is falling again, and she's walking toward me with arms outstretched. The wedding is finally beginning. Thank you for listening. If you really like the story, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more daily horror stories. Thanks.